I've been fascinated by Jordan Love because that is a major storyline going into this National Football League playing season. We talked about it with Steve Young yesterday, and Steve said he knows a thing or two about
backing up a legend?
Well, not backing up a legend, but replacing one, being the guy after the guy. Well, in Green Bay, he's the guy after the guy was after the guy. And you don't really want to be the guy after the guy, and Aaron Rodgers proves you can actually be that guy.
Well, don't forget Don
I think it really might have made
too.
sense on that front. So, Matt Schneidman of The Athletic joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show to discuss this and more. How are you, Matt?
Rich, I'm a 3-time guest on the Rich Eisen Show. I couldn't be doing any better.
I like it. Very good. Look at you. You're like Aaron Judge. You're going to hit 3 home runs. Fantastic. So what's the latest on Love? Is he going to play this weekend? What do you think?
Yes, he will play, as will, his supporting cast on offense, and most of the starting defense will play as well. Matt LaFleur was talking this morning about just needing those guys, this young offensive core, to get as many reps as possible together, and also their lack of energy, lack of focus, slow starts, whatever you want to call it, in week one, the last couple seasons, kind of also factors into LaFleur's decision to play his starters. Now, Jordan told us yesterday he feels ready for week one already. He feels ready for week one and beyond. Anything he does against the Seahawks on Saturday isn't really going to change how he feels heading into Soldier Field week one. But it's just another opportunity for a couple more people to come on the Jordan Love bandwagon, baby.
Well, I mean, the first 2 preseason games have been, for me, enough that I need to see. And to know that he's not struggling, he's not trying to grasp things, he looks comfortable. What he did against Belichick's defense to start the second preseason game was, for me, all I needed to see. What do the Packers need to see other than just him getting more live game reps to put him out there?
I saw the clip that your show account tweeted the other day, and I responded to it with the GIF from my favorite Christmas movie of all time, Polar Express, with the conductor of Polar Express saying, "All aboard." Because it feels like there is some momentum, coming along here of people are starting to realize he might be a guy. And I think what they want to see, getting back to your original question, is maybe for him to put together a complete performance. And I understand it's, maybe only 3 series max, but against the Bengals in his first series, he missed Luke Musgrave wide open on a crosser. He missed a screen to Musgrave, and then he comes back and leads a touchdown drive the next drive. Against the Patriots, scoreless first 2 drives. I believe he started 3 for 6. He played a part in a botched snap that the Patriots recovered on the first drive, but then he comes back and leads a 93-yard touchdown drive. So it's good that he's shown the ability to respond from slow starts, but maybe it'll be good to see him put together a complete 3 drives instead of starting slow. But the kid can throw the ball. He can move. I mean, I'm here at practice right now. I just saw the Packers run 2 triple options in like a span of 5 plays. I don't know what the hell they think they're doing right now, but it looks like Matt LaFleur is getting a little creative with a kid who can run at quarterback.
Getting in his bag. And what's it been like watching him operate when not on the field?
I asked him yesterday if he's been able to maybe take stock in where he is, the position he's in, because after the first day of training camp, he was asked what kind of reception he got from fans. And he said, I didn't really notice that. I was so locked in. And I asked him yesterday, at any point over the last 3+ weeks, have you been able to take a breath and say, this is pretty cool. I'm the starting quarterback. These fans are showing me love. And he hasn't really been able to. I mean, I have not seen anyone around here. Granted, I haven't been doing this for as long as some other people on this beat, but his temperament, his leadership, nothing seems to rattle him. And you brought it up earlier. He doesn't seem to panic. On the field, off the field, everything seems calm. And who knows if he's going to be any good on the field. But all the intangibles, the makeup, how he's handling the pressure, the expectations, any chaos around him on the field, it seems like all that stuff is going to set him up for success.
Well, his first game at Chicago, where he can prove that ownership of the Bears just changed quarterbacks, right? And then at Atlanta, which is breaking in a first-time, full-time starter as well, he strolls into Week 3 opener against New Orleans 2-0, and then takes on Detroit on that Thursday night. He'll be feeling the love in Green Bay. That's for damn sure. If that happens, and it's
Rich,
possible. You know,
they don't play a team that made the playoffs last year until Week 8, and that's the Vikings, who the Packers curb stomped here in Week 17 last season. They start with those teams you mentioned, and then it's the Raiders on Monday night, Week 5. Then they have a bye Week 6. Then it's the Broncos Week 7. And then Week 8, it's the Vikings, then the Rams Week 9. So this is a very favorable schedule for the Packers the first half of the season. Now, the second half, there's the Chiefs, the Giants, the Chargers. But, you know, there is a chance. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's a chance the Packers enter their bye in Week 6 at 4-1. 3-2, I think, would be successful. But if Jordan Love can not lose Packers games, if he can do enough to, you know, keep them in it, I think he's going to be an above-average quarterback. They have the talent around him to, you know, not only win this division, but maybe make a run in a what I think is a weak NFC conference.
The Athletics' Matt Schneidman, head of the Pack podcast host and beat writer of the Packers right here on the Rich Eisen Show. And one of the reasons why I thought it was set up for Love to succeed this year is last year with Rodgers and the young receivers and the conversation around that, even if we were half right about it, Love is a contemporary of these kids and might have spent more time in certain practice situations with these young receivers. And now we might see the fruits of the labor right there. Am I off? Close? What do you have for me if somebody who's on it on a daily basis?
Yeah, I don't think it can hurt, certainly. How often last season did we hear Aaron Rodgers say, you know, guys are missing routes, they're not breaking out of the routes at the right time, these young receivers don't know what they're doing. Now I'm paraphrasing there, but
yes.
We kind of heard the same thing on Hard Knocks this week when Randall Cobb kind of gave that speech to the Jets receivers about what Aaron expects. Now, I'm not saying Jordan doesn't expect that, but there isn't that monstrous gap between what the quarterback knows and expects and demands on an everyday basis, every minute from his decades in the league, to what the receivers can do. You know, in years past, they've been able to kind of mask that gap with the Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb. Last year, they weren't able to because Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs were their top two guys, with all due respect to Alan Lazard. This year, everyone's kind of learning it together. And I think there's something to be said for that. I don't know if there was immense pressure on the Dobbs and Watsons last year to say, oh boy, we need to live up to what Aaron's asking or else he's going to get mad. But there's something to be said for letting the kids all figure it out together, whether it's chemistry-wise, energy-wise, or maybe it's just easier for them to learn it all without the aura of number 12 here standing over them. But by all accounts, it's gone well so far for those two position groups.
Speaking of Hard Knocks narratives, how are Packer fans dealing with Rodgers living his best life and apparently being invigorated by the youth as opposed to potentially chafing because of the youth? How's that hitting Cheesehead Nation?
Yeah, the response I've seen is that they're letting Jets fans have this honeymoon period because they think Jets fans are going to realize here in a little bit that, you know, it was honeymoon period for the Packers too. And then he got mad at the receivers and he started getting angry and all this stuff. But listen, anytime you have a bad breakup with an ex and then you see them go on to be happy, it's never great. So I think it might be a little insecurity from Packers fans, but there's only one number they care about, and that's 65. And if Aaron Rodgers plays 65.01% of the offensive snaps list this year, I don't think they'll care much about how happy he is on Hard Knocks.
No, I hear you. That means a first-round pick goes to Green Bay. Is it really a bad breakup with Packers fans or just with Gutekunst and the FaceTiming and all that sort of stuff? Really?
Yeah, it's definitely more so with Brian Gutekunst, but I think Packer fans feel that Aaron should have done it in a more gracious way. I don't know. I will go to my grave. Now, he didn't tell me this specifically when I spoke with him earlier this offseason, but I will go to my grave thinking Aaron wanted to still come back to the Packers and finish his career, and it was the Packers who pushed them out. And then Aaron, after he realized he was done here, kind of then shifted his perspective to, okay, I want to go play for the Jets. Now I'm going to make it seem like I wanted to play for them all along. So I think that kind of twist from him, which he kind of had to do to not make it seem like it was just a one-sided thing, the Packers pushing him out, I think that has maybe rubbed Packer fans the wrong way a little bit. But as we talked about last time I was on, I think all will be forgotten in however many years when he comes back here and his jersey's retired and there are 80,000 or some odd fans filling Lambeau Field cheering him on. And, you know, time heals all wounds, and I think they'll remember all the good he did for this franchise someday.
Dude, Favre used the Jets as a transfer portal to get to the Vikings to get back at the Packers, and the Packers and Favre, still got back together in Lambeau Field.
Of course.
You know, and I know I guess money might talk on that front too, but come on. I mean, the Packers flew down to Favre to offer him his actual locker back when he thought they were coming to offer him his job back. That's how bad that breakup was, Matt. And
it was way worse.
And so this is nothing compared. Like, literally, the Favre breakup is holding the beer of what we're talking about right now. You know, so when it all comes down to it, though, I'm just wondering, like, here's Rodgers going to Broadway. Here's Rodgers going to Taylor Swift. Here's Rodgers, you know, smiling and talking about staying here for a while and handing things off to Zach Wilson. And here he is talking about how young this team is and how that has reinvigorated him. And I'm just wondering how that hit Packer fans. You know, it just is.
I think the Green Bay loyalists like to they have a lot of pride in what there is to do around here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'll put it that way. So yeah. I think a couple of us, when we saw Rodgers gallivanting around New York City at I think he went to a car show. That's just because there's that stuff to do in New York and not here in Green Bay. So maybe that's why. But going back to your point about how different those breakups were, I mean, I wasn't here in 2008 for Favre because this is only my 5th season covering the team. But, I mean, Aaron got booed at family night, their big scrimmage inside Lambeau Field during the preseason, and Favre was in attendance. This year, Jordan Love gets resounding cheers when John Kuhn is interviewing him on the field after. So just in terms of a fan reception point, it was not only more contentious, but just awkward back then. And this time, it seems like there's a lot more energy and fan support going Love's way, which has to feel good for him. And I think it just speaks to the fact that the fans, too, were ready to turn the page on the Rodgers era, maybe not like they were 15 years ago.
Okay. When Mahomes comes to visit Green Bay in Week 13, are they going to put his wife in the last row of Lambeau Field now that Love's taken on? Is that what's going to happen? Like a little turnabout? You know, Mahomes' family's going to sit in the top row?
Jordan Love's mom and his girlfriend back in Arrowhead, they were closer to touching the Lord than they were seeing their son on the field or her son and her significant other on the field. Yeah. So that'll be funny to see if the Packers maybe try and get Brittany Mahomes back on that one.
Yeah, just put him in the Upper Peninsula. You know what I mean? Just put it all the way. Just keep going. You know, let's do it. Thanks for the time, Matt. Great use of gallivanting. I caught that as well. Let's catch up when the season starts. I'd love to get your thoughts. Appreciate it.
Sure thing. Thanks as always, Rich.
You bet. That's Matt Schneidman of The Athletic right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern for free.